And we begin with breaking news out of San Francisco. The Reverend Cecil Williams has died. Williams was a longtime minister of Glide Memorial Church. Glide was founded back in 1929. They called themselves a house of worship for all people.
Now, Williams came to the church in 1963, and he is credited for turning it into a place of refuge in the Tenderloin. Ann Makovec joins us now from the newsroom with more on his incredible legacy.
Yeah,
Ann?
really quite the man. Glide called him the Minister of Liberation. He passed away today at his home in San Francisco. Cecil Williams was 94 years old. He was a minister, author, social activist, and community leader. We found this footage of him from throughout the years. He often used the term radical inclusivity. He was known as a champion for the poor and marginalized. The Glide Foundation has wraparound services for the homeless, and they feed anybody who's hungry hot meals every day of the year. But Thanksgiving is always a big celebration there, and Reverend Williams was always a staple. Here he is on Thanksgiving 2016.
We call it a beloved community that engages in unconditional love and unconditional acceptance. When you got those two things going for you, you're really doing something.
And his reach was worldwide in his fight for justice for all. Here's a photo with him with human rights champion Nelson Mandela. This is from 1990. Tributes to Reverend Williams are just starting to pour in. San Francisco Mayor London Breed writes in part, "As a young girl, I would never have dreamed to grow up in a world with him. We all benefited from his guidance, his support, and his moral compass. We would not be who we are as a city and a people without the legendary Cecil Williams." Now, Williams' wife and co-founder of Glide, Janice Mirkatani, died in 2021. They married back in 1982, and together they were one of the biggest power couples in Bay Area history. Cecil Williams had taken more of a backseat role at Glide in recent years as he grew older, but his influence was always present, and his legacy will not be forgotten, Liz.
Yeah, so many of us had the opportunity to meet Reverend Williams throughout the years, reporting on the many food drives that he did and all the community events he did. And I know you had a chance to interview Reverend Williams. What do you remember about working with him?
You know, his presence was just always, a staple, like I said, of Thanksgiving celebrations and parades and everything. You knew where he was, and he just had this presence and this comfort and this aura around him. Yeah. It was really amazing, man.
Yeah, had such a warmth and a kindness about him always to anybody who came up to him. It was pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
All right, Ann, thank you. Well, as Ann mentioned, Reverend Williams worked with the poorest of San Francisco, and that was a big part of his ministry. But he also has a big influence beyond his church. He had some pretty strong political connections and no shortage of state and national leaders he could reach out to. We will have much more on his passing coming up tonight at 6 o'clock.